So, marketing. Let's talk. You're locked and loaded. You got your audience identified, your white paper's written, your event schedule's filled out, sales is waiting by the phone, and you are ready to start closing deals, making sales, and growing the business. Excellent. Yes, we love to see it. I do have one question for you. Please don't be mad. How are you actually going to reach, score, and track that audience over time? Look, let's face it, lead gen it's tough. Even with the clearest goals, the clearest picture of your audience, getting that audience to convert and then tracking their journey once they've started that sales process, all of that is no small feat, and that's assuming you've already identified the leads that you should be interested in, which is a challenge in its own right. Honestly, without the right digital tools at your marketing team's disposal, that work is a colossal undertaking that's going to require a huge amount of human effort, and we all know what happens when you expect that level of human effort, right? It's burnout, it's subpar performance, and it's turnover. So let's talk about those digital tools then. Solutions such as Marketing Cloud Account Engagement, also known as Pardot, have tremendous potential in helping marketing teams grade and score qualified leads, engage with those leads, and then track their journey through every step of the sales process, even well after the transaction is complete. To put it simply, that can massively transform your lead gen efforts. But, and as we all know, there's always a but, any tool, even one as powerful as Pardot, is only useful if people use it. And so the question becomes, how do you as a team leader help your team make the most out of Marketing Cloud Account Engagement so it can truly supercharge your lead gen campaigns? This is Transformation at Work, a podcast about real stories of business transformation and Salesforce success, without all the jargon attached. The show is brought to you by Jarrett, a summit-level Salesforce consulting and implementation partner and solutions provider, and I am Jeff Stormer, your host as always. In this episode, we're looking at Marketing Cloud Account Engagement, what it can offer marketing teams, how teams can integrate it into their current and upcoming lead gen campaigns, and how to ensure employees meaningfully adopt the solution. Our guest this episode is Lisa French, Senior Business Analyst, Solution Architect, and CPQ Practice Lead at Jarrett. Lisa is, frankly, an absolute authority on Pardot. She's been using it even before it was acquired by Salesforce and eventually folded under Marketing Cloud. 10 of her almost 14 years in the Salesforce ecosystem were spent working with the solution, including acting as Jarrett's Pardot Practice Lead before the Marketing Cloud transition. Simply put, she knows MCAE, she knows Pardot inside and out, and has a tremendous amount of experience helping teams take advantage of what Pardot has to offer. We begin our conversation by laying out the three major value adds that Pardot offers to marketing teams running lead gen campaigns. Let's hear what Lisa has to say.
So I think that it's email marketing and drip campaigns. And yes, I am lumping those two together, even though they could technically stand on their own. The scoring and grading model. And the biggest value add, in my opinion, is the engagement history piece. I think that those three value adds that Pardot has is really going to help any team with lead gen campaigns. So when you have a lead, it comes through and you're marketing to them and you've got them in this wonderful journey where they're, if they interact with something, you want something else to happen. So that's where you're going to get your big bang in this drip campaign. We call this Engagement Studio in Pardot world. So with Engagement Studio, you can say, okay, this lead just hit. We got them from a trade show or what have you. And I want to send them an email. And I want that email to be geared towards whatever trade show they went to or whatever product they're interested in. So I want it to be dynamic. And depending on how they interact with this email, maybe I want to add them to a specific list to send them more information about a specific product. So that is so powerful because you're going to be able to not only bring in that lead, but you're going to be able to really narrow them down to the correct product, the correct salesperson, etc. Then the next one is the scoring and grading.
Let's take a quick moment, break down a few buzzwords, and talk about lead scoring versus lead grading. Essentially, these are both numbers that can be assigned to a prospective customer that tells marketing and sales how hot this opportunity is and how much effort they should expend in trying to close this deal. A lead score is the number that indicates how interested the customer is. It's based on different activities the customer can take. Download a white paper, 15 points, open an email, 10 points. You set the numbers yourself, but essentially it tells you, hey, this is how into you the customer is. A lead grade takes the demographic information that you're looking for in an ideal customer, whether that's age ranges, size of business, whatever, and compares this opportunity to those demographics to tell you how interested you should be in this opportunity. Taken together, these give a really clear numerical picture of how lucrative a given opportunity is for your team. Let's throw it back to Lisa.
So the scoring, this is amazing because you can say, okay, they came in, they have really interacted with our products, our assets. They've clicked around on the website. They have this really high engagement score. They're wonderful, but how did I grade them? I like to say scoring is how interested your prospect is in you. Grading is how interested you should be in them. So you have both of those pieces. So maybe they have an insanely high score, but a really low grade. So maybe they're not a great fit after all. Or maybe they have an A+ on your grade, but a really low engagement. Well, let's get them more engaged. Let's get them more excited. We know we're interested in them. Let's get them interested in us. So that is so valuable. And then the final piece, of course, is that engagement history piece. And like I said, I really feel like that's the biggest value add because you're going to be able to see this customer's journey from beginning to end. So as a salesperson, I can see, oh, they were really interested in this white paper about this specific product or service. So this is what I want to try to nail them down on. I want to at least get them through the door with this and then potentially have more sales in the future.
And those are, to your point, pretty incredible value adds, right? Like I've worked in marketing. I know the effort that goes into lead gen campaigns, and having a tool that can really take those to the next level is a pretty immediately exciting thing to me. That said, let's talk about what the solution looks like in action. Tell me about the ideal process flow for a marketing team using Marketing Cloud account engagement within their lead gen campaigns.
So yeah, that's another great question because it all starts with the lead generation, right? The ideal process flow for a team would be gathering those high quality leads. And there's great new features inside of Pardot since becoming MCAE in the way of like drag and drop features. So it's even easier now than ever. The landing page builder, for example, you can have a new page up and running in minutes rather than hours. And then once you have that lead through the door, visited this new landing page, you move into the lead management piece where you start the grading and scoring that we just talked about a minute ago based on their interactions with the marketing assets and your custom parameters that you have set, whether they meet your ideal profile. And then the next step in that flow would be that email marketing piece. So this is where another new handy tool comes into play. And this is, like I said, relatively new. It's a drag and drop email builders. This allows you to do drag and drop email templates and drag and drop email content separately. So it's a really great tool. Then next, of course, is the opportunity closure, right? So once you have the opportunity closed, you really want to align with that ROI via the ROI reporting, the lifecycle reporting, all of those advanced email reports and metrics that you can get from the engagement history piece as well. And then wrapping it all up, one piece that I think is really overlooked is the AI at the end. So with Pardot Einstein, you can then monitor and analyze all of those metrics that we just mentioned previously, such as the lead scoring and all of that, and create a behavior score based off of like your user engagement activities and all of that. And it's going to provide very valuable marketing insights for what you should look for in the future and how you can capitalize on different marketing assets moving forwards.
So we've got an idea of the kind of impact that Pardot can have on marketing teams running their lead gen campaigns, and that's great. It's a powerful tool with a lot of potential that teams can unlock as they run through the lead gen process. But, like we said at the top of the episode, that brings with it the implication that teams are actually using it, that they're not deploying Pardot and then continuing to run their lead gen efforts through Google Forms and spreadsheets. Which is unfortunately a very real possibility when you consider that, according to Forbes in 2020, 59% of businesses were relying on spreadsheets to track how they're marketing to leads, even though 40% of marketing team leads would describe their current sales and marketing efforts as outdated. And so the question becomes, well, how do you get your team to invest in something new? As Lisa breaks down here, the first step of that is team leaders identifying when they should be bringing Marketing Cloud account engagement into their lead gen efforts. Let's hear from Lisa.
Marketing Cloud account engagement should actually be considered by your team lead or by a team lead anytime that they have any kind of lead nurturing that is for a longer sales cycle. So they're working those higher value deals for a longer span of time. And you really need to identify those prospective customers using the grading and scoring tools that are at your disposal with Pardot. A lot of times you might lose sight of where that ROI is coming from, be that, they're downloading white papers or attending webinars or going to trade shows, you have them in drip campaigns. All of those are very important assets that are going to help close that deal. So if you've lost sight of how all of these are benefiting or even which ones are benefiting more, this is where bringing in the MCAE can really help focus in on what has worked in the past, what's going to work better in the future, and really nailing down your target audiences.
And so thinking about this in terms of specifics, right? Like, let's say that I am a team leader and I recognize the need for Pardot within my lead gen processes. And, this is kind of an ideal case, but like I haven't really kickstarted my lead gen efforts in a major way yet. How do you see Marketing Cloud account engagement fitting in, when I'm building my lead gen efforts from the ground up?
Everything starts with campaigns. And a campaign needs to start with a naming convention that makes sense. I stress this to everybody. Your naming conventions are super important, not just with campaigns, but throughout all of Pardot. So you want to start with those campaigns. Think about what kinds of campaigns you're going to run. Are they email campaigns? Are they trade show campaigns? Are they yearly campaigns? How are they going to be structured? Should they have a hierarchy of grandparent, parent, child, or maybe even great-grandparent, grandparent, parent, and then child? However, you need to structure those. Because I like to emphasize that no matter how awesome your marketing tools really are, that firm foundation for those campaigns, that's where it is all going to start from. And then from there, everything else kind of flows, dynamically and easily.
Well, and as we're talking about like building that foundation, putting those processes in place and bringing Marketing Cloud account engagement into teams' processes, I'd like to take a moment and really look at the other side of that, because like I said, I think that's kind of an ideal process is like, we don't really have our processes in place. We're building this from the ground up. We're putting that foundation in place, like you said. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what happens in the opposite case, right? A team that has been running lead gen campaigns, a team that has their processes in place, because I know that in a lot of cases, when a team has been running things a certain way for a long time, when they've got their processes, their tools, the things they're familiar with, it brings with it a certain degree of, how to put this gently, active hate and resentment for anything new that changes their process in any way, shape, or form. How does bringing Pardot look for that team, the team that has been running things for a long time and frankly is pretty comfortable with it?
That is an excellent question. So maybe you have these great leads and these great campaigns, but they're not really marketing qualified yet, right? They don't meet the correct criteria. And actually, one of my favorite examples revolves around this very topic. Let's say that you have a lead, right? And it's came in and it's very engaged in all of these marketing materials, right? You have it in your campaign. They visited every single form you have. They filled out all of them with all of this great data. They've downloaded all your white papers. They signed up to receive your newsletter. They click every single link on your website. And your salespeople, they're thinking, man, this is an awesome opportunity. They are so engaged. They are so interested in us. And in MCAE, they have an awesome score, right? You mentioned that previously. But what is the grade, right? This is where you would want that transition, right? You would want to transition into the marketing team, find out how interested are we in them, because let's pretend for a minute that they don't have Pardot or MCAE in this particular story that I'm telling. They're using other means to reach out. They're running campaigns and they're using a different means to reach out. And somebody reaches out and finds out that this is a high school student doing research for a high school paper. Well, that knocks them out. You can't sell to them now. They're not your ideal profile. So at this point, we have them in our campaign. We're seeing they're very engaged. This is where those existing campaigns, you would want to then bring in this Marketing Cloud piece, this MCAE piece, so that we can grade them. If we have a profile that tells us how interested we should be in them, we could have caught this and we wouldn't have sent them to the sales team to begin with. So my answer in this very long example is that even when you're using other methods of lead generation and campaigning, using Marketing Cloud account engagement is a great way to make sure that you're getting your leads marketing qualified before you assign them out to your sales team.
Now, thinking about both of these examples, right? Thinking about the team that is building this from the ground up and, like you said, building that foundation, thinking about the team that has their processes already in place and we're kind of just inserting Pardot into their existing workflows. The common thread there is training, right? Because the common thread is that you are bringing in a new thing, and the best way to encourage those employees to really adopt and take advantage of Pardot is to get them up to speed on what Pardot can do and what it can offer and how they can take advantage. So I want to hear from you. What do you see as the role of tech training before, during, and after deployment to really help teams take advantage of what Marketing Cloud account engagement can offer?
So, yeah.
Always a noise I like hearing at the start of a question.
So this is a very, very important piece. I'm so glad you asked this because my answer is you want your full team that is going to be hands to keyboards in Pardot. You want them on this project from the jump. You want them in there. There is so much to learn. You have to start thinking about those scoring modules, because you don't want to just use the out-of-the-box scoring. It's not going to meet your needs. One of the things that I always bring up right out of the gate whenever we're doing an implementation is you do not want to score your email opens at 5 or 10 points. That's ridiculous because I open emails all the time and then oops, didn't mean to open this, delete. That email open should not be the most important thing. Okay, maybe 5. But no more than 5. And I think Pardot, straight out of the gate, has it at 10 or 15. So you really want to go down through those, and you want to make sure that these are correct. So from the jump, you want to get people in there. You want to start getting them comfortable with how to use it, why to use it, and more importantly, when to use these tools. Because there are a lot. There are just so many. I recommend very heavy engagement and training from day one through the entire implementation and beyond. And the great news is here at Jarrett, we actually adopted a process when I first took over, where we do training from day one. When we are in the implementation phase, we set Pardot up right away. We make sure it's connected to Salesforce. And then our very first meeting with them past that workshop phase with any customer is to get in there and show them. We're doing a demo. We're asking them, where are your pain points? Oh, they're here. Let's go here and look at this. How can we alleviate this pain point? Well, you need a specific email template built. Well, we're recording this. Let me show you how I would do this speedy fast.
Now, related to training, I want to ask you, where do you see the common stumbling blocks, right? You've overseen Pardot deployments. Where do you see teams getting tripped up when they start to take advantage of the solution, when they undergo the training process? And if I'm a team leader listening to this episode, how can I help to overcome those even before they become an issue?
So that's a great question. One of the biggest challenges that we see on a pretty regular basis is when there are different business units involved. So if you have different marketing needs for different segments of your business, or maybe you run 2 separate Pardots under one umbrella and you just need those to be connected. So using these business units, you have to set these up in such a way that there is a marketing data sharing element that can cause some instances to come to a screeching halt if you don't know when and where these segments happened. So the biggest way to prevent this or to navigate around it, as you mentioned, is to have a solid plan in place with the marketing team and the sales team. They both need to understand what is needed, when it is needed, and how to segment these. So with MDS, it relies on one rule per object. The object has to match the criteria or else it will not sync to Pardot. And also keep in mind that both leads and contacts are considered prospects in MCAE. So in Marketing Cloud account engagement, your prospect object is both the leads in Salesforce and the contacts. So you have to have that marketing data sharing correct for both leads and contacts. And that's generally where we see the biggest issues. There are smaller issues that are a lot simpler to overcome if you're not using business units. Maybe you're not getting the correct information or fields that come over. That's one we see a lot. And that's a very simple, easy fix. You just make sure that all those custom data points that you need to see or the sales team needs to see are created in both Salesforce and Pardot and mapped correctly. Another one we see quite often, and one that really causes a lot of panic that's really easy to avoid, is the tracker domains and the email sending domains. So the best way to ensure that the email sending domains and tracker domains are set up correctly and ready to go when the process is ready to start is to bring that IT team in the first meeting, set with your implementation team, get those domains set up. This usually takes 15 to 20 minutes. And most of the time, those are resolved within 24 hours and they're ready to go. So you can even do testing from your own domain names.
At this point, we've got a pretty clear idea of what Pardot can offer marketing teams running lead gen campaigns, how team leaders can encourage their teams to get over the hurdle of adoption and start taking advantage of the solution, and how they can help their teams avoid those common stumbling blocks that might trip up the process in those crucial early days. And so with that, let's put the pieces together, right? Like, what does it look like when a team is firing on all cylinders and using Pardot to their fullest advantage? You know, the training has gone well, the deployment went seamlessly, it's running alongside, that foundation is in place. What does it look like when Pardot is really holistically integrated into a team's processes, and what are they able to achieve by doing so? Let's hear what Lisa has to say.
Let's say the lead is qualified and it's hot, it's super hot, and it's ready to be handed over to sales. They have all of these valuable insights, right, from Pardot. Those are the email communications that were received and responded to, how they were interacting with the content. So you know exactly what they're most interested in and which parts of the websites they had visited. You're going to have all of that. So that's one use case, right? You have this really hot lead, but not only is it a hot lead, but you know exactly how you're going to market to them, right? Another one would be if you have this longer sales cycle that I talked about at the beginning, maybe it's taking even longer than you expected, right? And you need some additional nurturing and you need to send out a very defined message that is dynamic and based on not only the status of the sales process, but maybe past order volumes or past orders in general. You can market to them specifically based on those criteria. And then another one, and I'll make this my last use case, is what about keeping in touch with those customers after the sale, right? Once the deal has closed, maybe you want some repeat business, who doesn't? Or maybe you just want to keep your brand at the forefront of your customer's mind. So you can send them on a defined customer journey with dynamic content based, again, on their purchases or related products that go with their previous purchases. Or maybe even you just want to start with a survey to capture feedback on your services and products that you provided to them, whatever the case is. Just by increasing these touch points after the sale with the right message at the right time, you can prepare those customers to close the next big deal with your team faster and more efficiently.
Fantastic. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us on Transformation at Work. This was such an awesome interview. I had such a blast. Any closing thoughts for our audience before we wrap up?
You know, I do actually have one closing thought. I would say that if you are interested in Pardot, take a look at it. It's a very powerful tool, and I think that it can close a lot of gaps between marketing and sales teams.
I've worked in marketing for more years than I'm comfortable saying into a microphone. Let's leave it at that. And the biggest constant, even among the largest, slickest marketing teams, is that the lead gen process is always a struggle. It's a struggle to score leads, to make sure you're targeting the right audience. It's a struggle to reach those leads, make those connections, get them to convert. And it's a struggle to stay connected with those leads throughout their journey, especially when you're really constantly starting that cycle over and over again with each new opportunity that comes in. Having a set of effective digital tools that can truly streamline and supercharge that process, whether you're just starting to engage your audience or you've been running campaigns for years, that can be a game changer. You just need the right training to know how to fully take advantage, an understanding of what the solution is and how it can integrate into your business, and the right technology partners to help you get over the finish line. Once you have those in place, you're ready to kick your marketing campaigns to the next level. This has been Transformation at Work. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to Lisa French for a legitimately delightful conversation. Transformation at Work is, as always, produced by Jarrett in collaboration with Salesforce. I am Jeff Stormer, your host and producer. If you enjoyed the show, consider leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, or head to jarrett.com to sign up for email updates when we release new episodes. Until next time, thank you again for listening, and we hope to see you again soon.